Okay, this is Vance. Vance was a Washington, D.C. policeman. Vance's father was dead by age 30. Vance was 31 when he was diagnosed with diabetes, and he came into our office. He started a plant-based diet. He lost about 60 pounds over about a year. He stopped his diabetes medications, and the blood test that we use to track diabetes is called A1C. If I measure your blood glucose, that goes up and down hour by hour. But A1C is fairly stable, and you want it below 7. His was 9.5, which is terrible. But a year later, he was 5.3, which is totally normal. Diabetes was gone. And I got to tell you, when his diabetes disappeared, I really was unsure if I could tell him this. Because I was taught diabetes is a progressive disease. Well, we started to see it go away in him and another person, another person, another person. We suddenly realized it's a two-way street. Don't get me wrong. If he decided to get away from this diet and eat the way he was eating before, diabetes would happily come right back in. But you've got a measure of control that you didn't have before. Oh, by the way, he asked me to make sure that I told you that his erectile dysfunction went away too. You can write that down, tell people you love, okay. All right, this is Nancy, same story. She lost about 40 pounds on a plant-based diet. She stopped her medications. Her A1C fell. She still had diabetes, but under much better control on no medication. And she had an interesting experience. She was cooking spaghetti, and she cracked open a jar of spaghetti sauce, and she just stopped. She had rheumatoid arthritis. If any of you have arthritis, you know that whoever makes those vacuum-packed jars, they are sadists, because you can't open the darn things up. Well, she realized she just opened this up and her joints. She came running into our center and said, "Why are my joints cured? I've had arthritis for all these years." Well, that's a whole other talk. In 1998, I wrote a book called Foods That Fight Pain, because I'd seen many people whose arthritis went away. And the reason in her case was dairy products. Dairy proteins trigger inflammation in many people, and when they're gone, the joints get better. Not everybody, and there are other foods that play a role, but it is amazing to see what the body can do, all right? And now I'd like to talk to you about your car insurance. We called it a legume group. They called it protein, which could be meat, but it could be beans, or nuts, or tofu, or tempeh. For the first time in American history, there is no meat group in federal diet guidelines. Wow. There is a dairy group, but it includes soy milk. So a vegan diet is A-okay with the federal government. Not perfect, but we're making progress. We're definitely on the right track, okay? So now you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. You know, when I talk to my friends, they'll say, people are by nature meat eaters, aren't we? You know, well, let's think about that for a second. You know, you see these cave drawings of people chasing animals with spears, and that would kind of lead you to believe we must be natural carnivores. Well, I put this question to Richard Leakey, the famous paleoanthropologist, and he said to me, "Neal, humans are not carnivores and never have been carnivores. Like the other great apes, chimpanzees and orangs and gorillas, we eat foods that we could pick with our hands, and if you do a couple of scientific tests, this will confirm to you that we are natural herbivores." The first is the dental test. Do you know about this scientific test? The dental test? What you do is you wait for your cat to yawn. And then look in your cat's mouth. And what you discover, there are these long canine teeth that protrude so they can capture prey and kill it and rip the hide off of the tiny little mouse or rat or rabbit or whoever they capture. Then go and look in the mirror at your mouth. And what you discover is that your canines are no longer than your incisors. All right? Do you know the bunny test? The bunny test? This is science, people. Okay, you take a bunny, put the bunny in front of your cat, and your cat can be 6 weeks old, but must devour the bunny. Okay? Cats naturally want to eat every bunny they see. But then you can put the very same bunny in front of a toddler. And what you discover is your little baby says, "Bunny," and wants to play. Not in a million years would your little baby boy or girl say, I must eat him. It's not in their nature. That's an herbivore, okay? Now, the final scientific test is the box test. Do you know the box test? The box test? You take a box. The box has had electronic equipment in it, like a video recorder or a computer or a phone, and you root around among the little plastic packing peanuts that are in there, and what you pull out is silica gel. And the silica gel is there to keep the moisture low. It absorbs moisture. But the makers of silica gel know something about human nature, which is we're kind of out of control. They felt it was essential on every silica gel packet to put 3 words: do not eat. In other words, what this tells us is that by nature we are herbivores. But we are so easily thrown off track, we'll put any bloody thing into our mouths, and we really have to kind of get back to what's natural for us. Okay, you with me? All right, so a dog or a cat, these are natural carnivores. And a dog has hearing that is way beyond yours. You know those whistles they sell that you can't hear them? It's a frequency that only a dog can detect. Because they need to be able to detect prey at a great distance. They have terrific hearing. And their sense of smell is so good that they are hired by the TSA for bombs and things like that. They could sniff out drugs very impressively. They are detecting prey. Human beings have cute little noses, cute little ears that are, compared to a dog, extremely insensitive, and that's okay, because you don't have to sneak up on a strawberry. It's okay, it's just sitting there for you. You don't really need good senses. Right? So I asked Richard Leakey, I said, how did all this start? How did meat eating begin? He said it began in the Stone Age when people developed stone tools so that they might find the remains of a kill. The lion ate part of the carcass and left the rest. And once you got stone tools, you could scrape the meat off the bones and you're onto something. Now, at first it was not very appealing, but if you're facing starvation and that's what there is to eat, okay. And once we had fire to cook it, then we're on to something. But we have pre-Stone Age bodies. And when we eat this way, you get away with it for a while, but for the most part, we're much healthier without it, okay? This is a man named Jean Remy. He sent me these pictures from Canada. He sent them because he was at 320 pounds. And he was diagnosed with pre-diabetes, and he learned about the program that we've been describing, get the animal products out, keep the oils low. By the time he got to chapter 4 of my book, he lost 160 pounds. And his life changed. He got his energy back. You see this all the time. This is Jenna, same story. She wanted to lose some weight, but instead of counting calories, simple plant-based diet. Keep the oils low. And she got her health back. She got her waistline back. She got her confidence back. Okay. And it's not your imagination. There are a lot of people doing this, including a former president. Many, many people are either full-on or part-way on a plant-based diet. This is Mac Danzig, the mixed martial arts champion. I don't know if you can see it. That's the meat eater over there. I hope he's okay. So this is Patrick Babumian. Do you know him? He's the world weightlifting champion. He puts 1,210 pounds into this harness and carries it. Nobody has done it as well as he has. In fact, he just broke his record. Vegan. Okay. Alex Avoda, the world arm wrestling champion, also an Olympic medalist. Megan Duhamel from the Olympics. And this is Jonas Van Essen, the world memory champion. 2 years running, he's been the champion. These are the folks who can memorize a pack of cards in 30 or 40 seconds and all these, He says, a vegan diet gives me an edge over everybody else. His brain is oxygenating better than anybody else, okay? You can do it. And of course, Albert Einstein, arguably the best brain in the world, perhaps. He wrote, A Vegetarian Manner of Living, by its purely physical effect on the human temperament, would most beneficially influence the lot of mankind. Steps, very easy. Step 1, don't change your diet. Not yet. Step 1 is check out the possibilities. All we do is figure out what you might actually like to eat, and it takes a week to do that. Take a sheet of paper and write breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack on your paper, and for the next 7 days, our job is to fill that out. I'm looking for plant-based foods that I actually want to eat. Okay, so breakfast. All right, oatmeal tastes like wallpaper paste. But if I put berries on it and cinnamon and, then it's okay. All right, blueberry pancakes. I guess they're okay. No butter, but that's all right. And I never tried the veggie sausage. Let me just see how it is. If I don't like it, I skip it. But if I like it, it goes on the list. Instead of scrambled eggs, I'm going to scramble tofu. If I don't like it, leave it off. If I like it, it goes on the list, okay? So then I go on to lunch. And I'm going to have my veggie pizza without cheese. The extra toppings, a little extra sauce, and the mushrooms and the peppers and the onions. Just see how it is. And then you might try the bean burrito or the veggie burger, the veggie hot dog. If you like them, keep them. If you don't like them, leave it off. Our whole goal is just pick the foods that you like. Very simple. So then we're going Italian. Would an Italian restaurant make me a plant-based meal? Would they make me a vegan meal?
Yes.
They would? What could I get?
Pasta, vegetables, and marinara.
Okay, all right, so we start with a nice salad, then maybe a lentil soup or minestrone or pasta fagioli, and then they'll top my angel hair pasta with mushrooms and tomatoes and artichoke hearts and, okay, this is not rocket science. Mexican, will that work?
Yes.
What can I get at a Mexican restaurant? Bean burritos, veggie fajitas, beans and rice, okay, simple, all right. So I'm just filling out my list, things that I like. Chinese, would that work?
Easy.
What can I get?
Vegetables,
Tofu and
stir fry.
vegetables. Yeah.
Okay, rice dishes, tofu dishes, vegetable dishes, all right, easy. Extra points for Japanese, because not only is it chic, but they have many vegan items and there's naturally very low in oil in many of these things, okay? I'm just filling out my list. So let's say you're a Subway kind of person. Would Subway be willing to leave the meat off and the cheese off my sandwich? Would they?
Yeah.
Sure they would. So load it up with lettuce and tomatoes and onions and cucumbers and spinach and olives and hot peppers and red wine vinegar, and they'll toast it and they'll call it Veggie Delight. Now, Taco Bell may not be the pinnacle of culinary art, but they'll make you a bean burrito if you hold the cheese. It's vegan. So all I'm doing is I'm taking a week and I'm eating food, and if I like it, it goes on my list. And after about 7 days, you've got breakfast and lunches and dinners and snacks, and now you're ready. So, step 2, 3-week test drive. Take the foods you know that you like that are on the list and say for 21 days, this is what I'm going to eat from. And it's very easy because you already picked them to be appealing. At the end of 3 weeks, 2 things will have happened. The first is you're physically healthier. You're slimmer. Your blood sugar is coming down. By the way, if you have diabetes now, tell your doctor you're going to do it, because you will be surprised at how quickly your blood sugar can go so far down that you need to start ratcheting down your medications. But let your doctor do this with you, okay? You're physically healthier. Your blood sugar will be better, your blood pressure will be better, your digestion will start sorting itself out, your joints feel better. But the second thing is, beyond the physical changes, your tastes are starting to change. And you don't expect that. But let me ask this group. How many of you ever switched from whole milk to skim milk or non-fat milk, something like that? Can I see hands? How many of you ever made that switch ever? Okay, when you did, what was the skim milk like at the beginning?
Water.
Watery? Blue? It's just not right. How many of you got used to that lighter taste? How many got used to the low-fat milk? Did you ever go back and taste whole milk again? What was that like?
Mud.
It's too thick. It's like cream. Well, wait a minute. Your whole life it was fine. You didn't get away from it because you didn't like the taste. You got away from it to be healthier. And after a while, your taste buds physically change to prefer the lighter taste that they've been exposed to. So the first week on a vegan diet, it will seem light. You're going to say to yourself, do I have to acquire a taste for folk music now? Break out the tie-dye. I'm vegan. Great. The second week, it starts to make sense. You discover there's some foods that are pretty good. And there are books, and there are websites, and there are celebrities, and there are all kinds of resources for you. And you go to the store. The regular grocery store, not the health food store, the regular one. They've got 30 different kinds of soy milk, rice milk, hemp milk, oat milk, veggie burgers, veggie sausage, all this stuff. It's kind of cool to try it. And after 3 or 4 weeks, after you have done a vegan diet, if you go back and have a double bacon cheeseburger, you take a bite and you just set it down, you realize, I'm just past that. Now, if you thought that in advance, you wouldn't believe it. But that's just the way it happened. You just find that you're going past those old foods that got you into trouble. And it works out really very well. So as that time goes on, the weight just starts to come off little by little by little by little. If you stick with it, it will stick with you. Okay?